Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase, pricing, and availability questions about this watch. Today, we discuss the Zenith El Primero Synopsis, launched in 2014. This is an automatic winding time-only El Primero. As of 2024, the idea of an El Primero without a chronograph is no longer as exotic and occasional as it once was in La Loc. But still, an El Primero with an open dial, 5 Hz escapement, automatic winding, and no chronograph represents a versatile, handsome, and intriguing option. It's probably the alternative to the common Datejust. So this watch, the Synopsis, followed the Espada, another time-only El Primero, by 2 years, but unlike the Espada, this one features a Terry Nataf's one enduring contribution to Zenith history and design, which is the open heart style dial. So you can actually see the mechanism, whereas on the 2012 Espada you could not. The watch is reasonably sized. 40 millimeters in diameter, it's 12 millimeters thick, likely because there is no chronograph mechanism. It is 47.5 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. My wrist is 16 centimeters circumference, and the watch is a great fit. Being under 48 millimeters lug to lug, it's really versatile. It's low enough to fit under a cuff, both thin and sloped in profile. You can see over the top, which sort of exaggerates the width of the watch. The true angle's always down the barrel, and I can envision this watch wearing well on a wrist as small as 14 centimeters circumference. The strap is medium brown, medium rectangular scale alligator leather, and it is very thick. There's a lot of material here. Zenith is not shorting you the leather. You can see it has a shear cut that's lacquered for refinement, and then on the bottom, as with most Zenith straps these days, there's a rubber inlay to protect the leather from the sweat, heat, moisture, and grit of the wrist for a longer lasting strap. We've got a double fold trigger actuated deployant clasp. You can see the Zenith Star logo is right there. Combination of polish and satin. Squeeze the true triggers. You have to press them to open so it will not deploy accidentally. You can see there is a ceramic spring-loaded pin snap on each side, so the clasp will retain its snappy tolerances over time. The steel cannot wear down the ceramic. Rolling around to the case. Today, this case design is known as Chronomaster, but it's been percolating through the Zenith catalog for quite a while. You can see lugs are minimally beveled, but satinated on their tops, polished on their flanks, squared off with a little bit of a down tuck. The bezel sinks below the hoods of the lugs, which is a way to get bigger, fuller lugs, but also a thinner watch by allowing the lugs to ride up the side of the bezel, something watch designers do in order to thin their watches out, but also prevent cropping the lug too much. You can see the bezel has a vertical lip, then a conical profile. We have the Zenith guiding star logo on the crown, and there's a little kerf or a fingernail slot underneath so you can more easily pull that crown out. It is a screw-down crown, which is unusual on non-sports watch Zenith models, but you can see between the screw-down crown and the 100-meter case, put it on a different strap, you could absolutely swim with this. We may as well take a look at the case back, FYI. Since the 70s, Zenith reference numbers have included the name of the caliber. This is caliber 4613. You can see it right there on the bridge, and then you can see it right there on the reference number. Automatic winding, it's got a 50 to 52 hour power reserve, and El Primero 5 Hz beat rate, that is 36,000 vibrations per hour. The presence of a stop second function is a little bit unusual, perhaps even more exotic than the notion of a time-only El Primero. Prior to the debut of the El Primero 2 in 2019, the 3600 caliber, it was super unusual to have an El Primero with hacking seconds. So this is rare and unusual in that regard. You can see we have here a silicon escapement for reduced oscillating mass, reduced mass in the drivetrain, reduced friction, and reduced maintenance requirements, as this can operate without lubrication. Note that the spokes of the escape wheel are the Zenith Star logo. And again, against the ear, it has that 36,000 vibration per hour, 10 beat per second cadence. Go over to the dial side. And what makes this movement special is that the bridges have been evacuated so that you can see the drivetrain. You could see the extended pinion of the fourth wheel becomes this tri-spoke seconds hand. Then you've got the escape wheel, the anchor, and the balance beaten away. Note the use of KIF shock protection, often seen as a smaller volume upscale alternative to Inca block. The dial is lovely with a polished rose gold bezel, surrounding the visible part of the movement, blued screws holding it in place. We have these lovely polished and satinated rose-colored applique indices with a sort of corrugation underneath. You can see that there is a ruffled or fluted pattern underneath the hour track. Inboard of that, you can read individual seconds. And then outboard, there is a stepped metallic track that features tiny radially arrayed Roman numerals outboard of the indices, including a watchmaker's 4. There is loom. We're going to see it now. Let me remove the superimposed hand position so you can see both of them. It's a fairly well-loomed watch that you can see the open part of the escapement forces you to estimate a little bit. This is a really cool piece. Even among Zenith aficionados, this is a watch rarely seen. Many don't even know it exists. A fantastic all-arounder from a truly high horology brand and one of the best-kept secrets in watchmaking. Reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.